Exactly what is it I should be remembering?
You are the great Van Helsing, trained by monks and mullahs from Tibet to Istanbul, protected by Rome herself, but, like me, hunted by all others.
The Knights of the Holy Order know all about you. It's no surprise you would know about me.
Yes, but it's much more than this.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Frankenstein's podcast, where it's all about the monster. We're a creature feature podcast about monsters and why we love them. I'm one of your hosts, Joe Praska, and with me is...
your other host, Khalid Hussein.
What's going on, Khalid?
Not much, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm feeling really good. I'm actually really excited for tonight. How are you?
Yeah?
I just said, how are you, didn't I? I said it again.
Well, I mean, I'm so great. I'll say it again. I'm
Yeah.
great. No, I don't know why I'm talking like that. But no, I'm also excited for tonight.
Yeah, it's I'm just gonna dive right into it. We got more than one guest, more than two guests. We got 3 guests tonight.
Whoa, is that a new record for us?
I actually think it might be, and that's what I'm
wow.
excited. It's a good round table discussion, if you will.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to bring in our guest right away, Khalid. We have Jason Ginsburg, who is a former Universal Studios tour guide, lifelong fan of classic monsters, and creator of the Fake Theme Park Twitter account. We also got Eduardo García Rascón, musician and composer. I believe works a lot in video game composing. And Brette Alana, who's an international award-winning vocalist. And the 3 of them collaborated on a really cool new tune for a dedication for the Universal monsters, which we'll talk and get into. But welcome, you 3.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Yeah, this is super fun. Yeah, this is like I said, this is the most amount of guests we've had in one episode before.
Wow.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. Feel honored.
Yes, it's very special. It's very special. Yeah.
Well, should you feel honored? It's like you've got you're sharing a third of the space of honor. I don't know, something to think about.
Oh, I guess, yeah, individually.
Yeah, well, thanks for bringing us down.
I'm always here to humble you guys. Joe's gonna bring you up, and then I'll bring you back to earth.
It's the dynamic here. Yeah.
I'm happy to share the honor with my 2 collaborators. No problem
That's
at all.
the spirit.
No, it's no problem, of course.
All right, we'll talk about the song Children of the Night in a little bit here, but we have a couple questions that I ask every new guest to the podcast, just about monsters in general. So I believe I sent these to you in advance. So you guys feeling ready?
Oh,
yeah.
I think so.
All right. Well, the first question is, what is your favorite monster in all of pop culture? So that means it could be a TV, movie, books, video games, even anything. And if it isn't the same one, what would you tend to consider the scariest? And I'll say, Jason, how about you start us off?
Well, I am a lifelong fan of dragons. I kind of collect them. I may have a few dragons nearby on my desk here while we're talking. So all the various more recent versions of them, I don't know how to pick a specific one, but certainly the ones in Game of Thrones. I know it's cliche, but they are so beautifully designed and so terrifying and so cool. They brought them all back for House of the Dragon, and we'll have more of those series coming. So really, yes, dragons, because I think they can be bad, they can be good, they can be noble, they can be scary. They can be in Dungeons and Dragons. You can play them, you can play against them. So I'm a big fan of dragons as a favorite monster. As for scary, I go a different direction. I was trying to think what really scares me, and a lot of the body things, like disease, like your body rebelling against you, that sort of thing that you can't, as opposed to an exterior monster. So I was thinking really something like Alien that comes out of your stomach. I mean, that is a very, very... That seems like it could really happen. You hear about people having bugs and eggs inside them and stuff like that. That's more real than Godzilla. Something could actually happen to you, sort of, somehow, maybe in an urban legend. So I think the alien in Alien coming out of your body, that's pretty horrifying.
Yeah, classic choice. Do you have a favorite dragon that you've seen before? It's a good answer. We haven't had dragons before, actually.
The one I know they're named in Game of Thrones. There's Viserion and there's Drogon. I can't tell them apart anymore. Which one's which? One's red. There's Smaug from the recent Hobbit movies.
I like Smaug,
Another good one, Draco from Dragonheart. If you've not seen that film, Sean Connery.
I was thinking of that one.
Yeah,
That's a fun one.
Again, he's a good, fun, funny dragon as opposed to scary. So yeah, those are all those are a tie.
All right, Eduardo, same question. What do you think?
Well, to start, I guess favorite monster. I'm glad you mentioned video games because I'm a huge video game fan. I guess my favorite would be from The Legend of Zelda. I gotta say Ganondorf. Is just I don't know. I love that character. It's such a cool character, and of course, also like Legend of Zelda is my favorite like video game franchise ever. So, and he's almost always like the recurring enemy, and I don't know. I think he has like a very cool deep story that they've covered in all of the games, and there's like this huge lore, and I don't know. I love that character. Um, and the scariest one, yeah, he's definitely not the scariest one, but I've always been scared. Maybe it's like some kind of like uh, childhood trauma, but like Pennywise. And it's not in general. I'm not scared of clowns. I actually like clowns, but I don't know. It's maybe like because when I was little, for some reason on TV, they used to show it a lot, and I was really little, and of course, it's just going through the channels and you stumble upon it, and like the scene where he comes out of the shower, well, he's looking. I don't know. It creeped me out a lot. And then the new one, the thing he does where like he opens his eyes like outwards. I don't know. It just looks so creepy. I mean, it's amazing, and actually, I learned that he does it for real. It's not like CGI or anything, which makes it even creepier.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then wait, it was just those two things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Good answers though. I always say video games is an option, but I don't think anyone's really brought up a video game monster. So I appreciate that you did. It's a good
Well,
one.
thanks.
How about you, Brett?
Well, I loved Jason's answer about dragons. I didn't even really consider them as a monster, but it totally makes sense. I've been on a Frankenstein kick, a newfound appreciation for Frankenstein. I recently finished rereading the book for the second time and been watching a bunch of monster movies, especially due to this project. And I don't know, I've just been really enjoying kind of his morals. He seems to have really good morals compared to all the fellow humans around him. And I think that's pretty cool. And I found out he's vegetarian, which is also pretty cool.
Oh.
And
know that.
as for the scariest monster, the thing that really came up for me while the others were answering were spiders, like the giant spiders in forests that like crawl and try and chase you and wrap you up, and kind of the whole, I think it was in the movie The Mist, there was that one spider creature where they, exactly what Jason was saying earlier, laying eggs like within them. That's pretty scary for me. That's probably my top-notch fear factor right there.
Good answer. Yes. Yeah, any of the multiple leg things are always a good one to get me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's so cool. I love it when anyone brings up the Frankenstein, especially since they're namesake for the pod. But do you have a favorite Frankenstein iteration so far that you've watched?
Oh man. Well, of course, the original, what's in the book, just because I love to pay homage to the author and just the actual written text of it, but letting the imagination kind of do the work for you. But I recently watched the new version, the movie The Munsters, and I thought that was really fun. And, yeah, pretty jazzy. I enjoyed that a lot.
That's fun. That's fun. Good answers all around. The other new guest question I usually ask everyone is just like, what do you consider yourself like geeky about? We all have something we're geeky about, or like we can really just like get down on. And maybe for you that's just monster movies, or it could be something else like sewing. I don't know. So what do you guys like feel like you're geeky about? We'll go the same order. Jason, what about you?
Oh, a couple of things. I mean, I certainly have all this knowledge for some reason of all the USC football records year by year. I don't, it's just because I've started following them when I went to college, and So you could name me, I probably could tell you what the result of that season was, possibly the record, depending on what year it was. So that's ridiculous. But also Star Trek. I guess I can't leave that. That seems
Me
that seems
too. Me
easier than
too.
Football. So the Next Generation, ridiculous. Some Deep Space Nine. I'm rewatching Voyager now because I haven't binged it since it was on, I guess 25 years ago. So yeah, I know too much about Star Trek. What can I say?
I love that. If you're interested, my other podcast is a Star Trek podcast, actually.
I'm happy to be on there too. I'm no expert though. We're not as much as you are.
Yeah. Well, it's at any level, it's always fun. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. How about you, Eduardo?
For me, it has to be Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. I just love those. And then my wife is also a huge Lord of the Rings fan, so we have that great thing in common. I've tried to make her like Star Wars, and she kind of watches. She kind of likes a few things, like The Mandalorian. But I'm happy with with her loving Lord of the Rings as much as I do, and so yeah, I guess those two things. But even from those two, I would say Star Wars more than Lord of the Rings. I mean, I do know a lot more, and I have Star Wars Legos, and I saw John Williams once live, and I got to greet him, and I also met and I shook Howard Shore's hand, the composer
Wow.
for Lord of the Rings. So yeah, so those two things have been very pivotal moments for me. I've loved them before that, so I actually getting to see them has been amazing for me.
That is so cool. That's so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Brett, what about you?
Oh, well, I can't think of any type of movie series right now, but I guess I've just been in this really big phase of creativity of just all types of sorts, whether it's music, whether it's just painting or drawing or any forms of creativity. So I've been really kind of getting geeky over that and finding all these little DIY projects and busting out sewing machines, seeing what I can make out of that. And that's kind of been my muse recently.
That's awesome. I love that. Creativity of any kind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for answering, you guys. It's always interesting to get a feel for kind of who our guests are and where they're coming from.
Yeah, it's a cool dynamic for sure to have.
So let's talk before we dig into the movie we're in question tonight. We'll talk about Children of the Night, the song you guys all came together for. It's first off, it's really cool. I really like it. We recently did a small mini episode on our Patreon on spooky songs we love, and I feel like I would like to add this to that list because it's a really fun update to like a Monster Mash type thing, like something new to kind of take that mantle in a sense. But so first I just kind of want to ask Jason, since you're the one who reached out to us and you had the background. Well, first off, tell us a little bit about your background as a Universal tour guide, and then what was the inspiration to kind of come together and create this song?
Yeah, well, I was a tour guide at Universal Studios Hollywood, the real thing that is, as much as Florida is great, and I'm not taking nothing away from it, but the Hollywood park is the real studio. It's 100 years old. It's the real deal, which is why there's a studio tour. You're actually driving through the real thing. And so I gave the big tram tours that everyone's taking of, the big 174 people on 4 cars. You get attacked by Jaws. You go past a psycho house. There's an earthquake. All those things, which was a delight. It's fun because it's just me and a driver. The driver doesn't talk. I'm the one with the microphone and eventually video clips and stuff to play. So I'm giving the whole little performance and all these fun facts and trivia, going to make the tour my own, which was very cool. And then I also gave not just the big tour, but these VIP tours where you have 16 people, give or take. It's like several families all put together and you're in a small vehicle so you can get off. So you actually can walk. We would go into the sound department and the prop department and walk around the sound stages and the backlot and touch the sets and take pictures. So I would take people to one of my favorite places when it was available, not used for filming, was Little Europe, it's called. And it is a European village used for many of the Universal monster films. Whenever there was a sort of town square or a big dance, or obviously the pitchforks and torches, the whole mob moving through the city, that's Little Europe. It's still standing. It's still there. It's still being used. Most recently, it was in The Good Place. Whenever they were outside in The Good Place, take a good look. I got screenshots on Twitter. You can compare. That's like kind of a European-style village. That is it, from black and white, from the 30s and 40s. So I'm a lifelong fan of the monsters. I've studied film at USC. I loved my time at Universal. I should point out I met my wife there. I don't want to neglect that. We met in the break room at Universal. We were both tour guides which I think is great. We have something in common. We still talk about it. It's almost like being in college together. We spent so much time, so many years there together, that after a while I realized the monsters, they're so visual. Everyone knows the iconic images of Frankenstein, for example, but there's no music, really. Nothing that really belongs to them. The themes from a lot of films did have eventually scores, although early on they didn't even have that because film was so new that if a film score wasn't even a thing. But nothing really famous, nothing that belongs to them. There's plenty of spooky music out there, like pipe organs, but it's not a monster song. So I try to think, well, there should be something. But not only is there not a classical piece of music, there's nothing even recent. You mentioned Monster Mash, which is this silly little novelty song from 1962. There should be something. And since no one was writing one, well, I'll do it. I'll launch this project. I can do lyrics. I'm good at that, I think. I have the knowledge of the monsters, but I'll need a composer and I'll need a vocalist to bring this to life, which is what brought me to Eduardo and Brette. But that was the whole idea, was that there's no real... The monsters are such a vibe, such an aesthetic. And you look at them and you kind of hear music in your head. What's the music? What is that? So I thought, let's find something maybe not so spooky and sort of classical and orchestral, but a little more, 2023, and kind of a rockin' anthem that celebrates the monsters.
Yeah, that's one of my questions I had was like, the press release kind of described it as a quote cross between gothic symphonic metal with a Broadway show tune, which I feel like you kind of elaborated on how you settled on that tone, and I think that's a really cool like thing a way to describe the song in general. It's a really fun, like catchy tune.
Yeah, well, thank you, and I owe a lot of that obviously to Eduardo as well, coming up with those hooks. But yeah, the idea was it was sort of, it had to be spooky and scary and like kind of serious, but not so. We're not a metal band where we take ourselves so seriously that we have to. This is obviously a bit silly. These are monsters, and it's obviously the fact that the premise of the song is kind of being in love with the monsters and dating them. So that's kind of a silly idea. So we try to find this right mix between so serious and Halloween spooky and dark, but also, come on, this is a song about monsters and dating them, so it has to be light. And there has to be jokes. I have a background in comedy, so there has to be some jokes about when you're dating a monster. There must be some of these silly things that go wrong.
Respectfully, Jason, I don't think there's anything silly about dating a monster, but but I see what you're saying. I see the point you're trying to make.
So Eduardo and Brette, could you guys share just like a little bit about your backgrounds before you came to Jason, and then maybe what kind of excited you and got you involved in this project?
Yeah, sure. Well, I guess ladies first.
Okay. All right. Well, I had just come out of college and I had been getting a degree for voice. So I've been doing the whole musician thing and singing thing for quite a while. And for about 4 years prior to this project, I've been doing session vocals for different projects here and there and messing around with the recording studio myself. And I just decided, I moved to a cabin kind of in the middle of nowhere and I needed to find some jobs. So I signed up to all of the freelancing platforms that you could think of to try and get some jobs and some projects coming in. And this is one of the first ones that came in for me through those platforms. And it's been really fun. And I've been discovering how to get into the zone of different genres for sure. I have a lot of experience in past genres, from jazz to rock to, Broadway, which is what a big aspect of this song needed. So it was cool to just also dabble in the heavy metal aspect of it and kind of channel my Evanescence meets Idina Menzel vibe.
Wow. What a crossover.
Yeah, definitely. It was a lot of fun though.
I will say, if I can, Eduardo and I looked heard a lot of people sing for it. People were very interested in this project once there was music for it, and it was hard to really find that mix of, like we say, Broadway and even not just metal, like sort of symphonic metal, those big voices like with Nightwish or Epica or bands like that, Within Temptation, and Brette really nailed it. It's hard to do, to make this weird combination. It almost needed to do with music than to do it vocally. And what can I say? Brette was fantastic, and here she is.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. You definitely nailed it, and you definitely managed to make that come through, because vocals were actually, such an important part of this song.
Well, I'm glad I could provide for you guys. Anytime.
Yeah, so I guess my background. Yeah, so I studied also composition. I studied at Berklee College of Music in Boston. I graduated from the film scoring degree. I did also take a few like video game scoring classes, and which is something that I always try to work on. So yeah, I graduated from there. I've been working on several things. I've done a lot of children's music, a lot of songs for YouTube and for children's shows. And yeah, at some point I met Jason. I found the job, and I got the gig, which was awesome. And yeah, because it just everything just sounded very appealing about this project. And I was like, I don't know, I felt it was something that I hadn't done as much. I have done a lot of orchestral stuff and things, and a bit of rock. So I thought, I felt equipped to do it. So the mix was just, perfect. And so we got it. We managed to do it, and it was pretty great.
That's awesome. Sounds like it all came together quite nicely in general. So, the press release, I believe, mentions that you guys were able to reference all the classic monsters, the Universal classic monsters. Is that correct, Jason?
That is correct.
So I think you said 8 total, right?
Yeah, there's 8 official. The monsters are still a franchise. They're still a brand. They have their own logo and their own line of products, of course. So yeah, it is all 8 of them. Should I list them?
Can you list them for our listeners? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. for the listeners, yeah.
We know them quite well now. By now.
So everyone knows the big 3. With Halloween, Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Wolfman. You can throw in the Mummy, so that makes 4. The Creature from the Black Lagoon, Invisible Man, the Phantom of the Opera, and then obviously the one singing the song, The Bride of Frankenstein.
Ah, yes. Okay.
The elusive one, because at some point you're like 8, but I can only count 7. But you got to count the vocalist too.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, cool.
Yep.
That's cool. Was it challenging to kind of get them all in there, or was like once you got that formula going, like, oh yeah, I can get this? Yeah.
No, it was challenging every which way you possibly. Yes. That's why there's a bridge. The bridge is sort of like, let's just go rapid fire through some of these monsters real quick. So some of the monsters only have 2 lines, and it was really, what can you say? And it's that, to be funny about dating a monster and breaking up in 2 lines. Well, line 1 is dating them, line 2 is breaking up with them. There's a structure, but beyond that. And then there are some difficult words. Not everything rhymes very well. I managed to get lycanthrope.
That rhymes. Yes. I always told Jason that you managed to rhyme the word lycanthrope. That's like a big achievement. I mean, what you rarely even hear that word in your life, much less a song that rhymes it. But yeah, it was pretty good stuff.
For those who are wondering, Larry, the Wolfman, first sees the love of his life. He first sees her across the way through a telescope. So there's your rhyme. See, it's all right there in front of me. Yep. So yeah, it was very hard to get all. Even the big monsters get 6 lines. Even that was still. There's so many things. Dracula has. Yes, it felt like we were shortchanging them somehow. But the song can't be. When it isn't a metal song, it's 12 minutes long.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Like when we were first, because at the beginning, Jason had this big draft of lyrics and stuff, which changed a lot. But at some point, we were like, we cannot. Because the first draft mock-up that we had, we were like, okay, we're spending 30 seconds in each monster. Like if we just list. If we do 30 seconds for each one, and then we also want some kind of intro and some kind of chorus and stuff, it's going to be like a 7 or 8 minute song. Very, very few people can pull that off, like Metallica maybe can, but other than that, it's just too much. So even 6 lines for the monsters, for the main ones at least, even that felt like it was too little. But Jason managed to get the important stuff there with the cool rhymes. At least for the main ones, the other ones, they get their spotlight. They're very brief spotlight, but they're there. They're there. So.
For in case listeners are curious, it is 4 minutes 26 seconds. So
Wow.
do the math.
All right. Do you have a favorite line or deep cut reference to any of the monsters that you found a way to slip into? I know you got this. You mentioned the lycanthrope one, but is there any others that you're really proud of?
I think for the fact I think everyone knows this, I insisted it would never be cut. Was I think the fans will particularly like a reference to Dracula's daughter.
The daughter, yeah, I know you were gonna say that one.
One of the crazy spinoffs. There's only there's 8 main films, but I have the DVD collection. I think it's 36 because they all spawned sequels. Eventually, they began appearing in each other's films, which is a whole other conversation. But Dracula's daughter, interesting. The especially look at it from the lens now, from the queer lens of it, it is certainly very relevant and very clear today what they were trying to do in 1936. So to get a mention therein and sort of to refer to what that film was symbolizing back then, I am very proud of. I think that the real fans who know the movie will get it.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess that's like the main one. But there are a lot. You did sneak in also for the Wolfman, because you also have the moon was bright. No, the autumn moon was bright, because that's a line from the movie, isn't it?
Right, the famous rhyme from Wolfman. People think it's real folklore, just invented for the film. But since that is a rhyme, a little poem in the film, it felt like I could easily slip it into a song. It already rhymes. Since you mentioned Eduardo, one other thing that Eduardo should get credit for this is sneaking in a couple of the actual themes from these films. Again, some of them do have theme music. So Frankenstein does get a few notes of his famous theme is in the Frankenstein line, and Wolfman it ends with that famous weird tritone, that's sort of spooky, weird minor key.
Yeah, yeah. That just felt necessary. And I mean, since you did mention you wanted to have some references, I felt like it just fell into place. The Frankenstein one was a bit harder, I think.
Yeah, I can understand. And then, of course, Swan Lake, which appears several times. That it was the de facto theme of both Dracula and the Mummy. Because again, back then, the idea of a film score was such a new idea. The idea of music coming from nowhere was new. The idea that music had to be played by an instrument on screen, like it's a diegetic music. So if you watch Dracula, if you try to put it on right now on YouTube, the first thing you'll hear is Swan Lake, which is creepy. It's a good choice. It's really a very weird piece of music when you listen to that particular part of it. So Swan Lake, if you're wondering why Swan Lake in the song, that is why, because Dracula and the Mummy both used it.
Huh, great.
Yeah, Swan Lake is such I honestly, I love all of Tchaikovsky's work, like Swan Lake and the Nutcracker and everything. I mean, I just feel like his music is just so incredibly beautiful. So being able to take the Swan Lake theme and just make it rock, it just felt so good. It was very satisfying. Like the first time, I was drafting ideas and I heard, and I was like, dude, this sounds great. And I showed it to my wife and she was like, oh man, that sounds great. And then I showed it to Jason and it was like, dude, that sounds good. I was like, yeah. I mean, it was so satisfying.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for answering those questions, you guys. And it sounds like the song is now pretty much where anyone can find music now, right? Spotify, Apple, all that, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I will make sure there will be a link to it in our show notes, but if you're interested, just look up Children of the Night, find it where you listen to your music.
Yep, easier to search for Brette's name, as a matter of fact.
Brette,
Children of the Night is a very popular name for songs. I realized
That's true.
too late.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, but you look Brette Alana and you'll find it. Yeah, that's how I look for it too.
All right.
Just
Good to
look
know.
for me. I'll show it to you.
Got you.
I got one last question. This one's for Khalid, actually.
Oh, snap.
Ooh.
Khalid, I got a question for you. It's you might know the answer. This one's people have heard this one. Why was the skeleton afraid to go to the Monster Mash?
Why was the skeleton afraid to go to the monster? Oh, because he didn't have any body to go with?
Oh, that's pretty good. I was actually going to say because he hadn't.
Oh, that's pretty clever.
Was
that the actual answer?
It was not, but that's better. I was going to say he has no guts. And that's a segue, Khalid. What are we talking about tonight? What movie are we talking about?
I just want to say for the record, that's the first time I've had a better answer. That like sometimes I'll guess the answer, and sometimes I just won't even try because the question makes me mad because it's not a real question. But I'm
Yeah,
pretty proud of myself. I just one up your joke.
you
So
did. You did. It was good.
That
uh,
was good.
thank
It
you,
was
thank you.
yeah, it was the ultimate like dad joke for sure. Halloween dad joke.
Yes.
I mean, and honestly, what better episode than the one with the most guests on to the most witnesses? Uh, anyways, thanks for asking, Joe. Before we get into the movie we're talking about today, I do want to pitch the Patreon. You mentioned it earlier,
Oh, yeah.
but I wanted to spotlight it real quick while we are talking. For those of you listening, if it's your first time, we have a Frankenstein's podcast is officially on the Patreon now. We have donations starting as low as the $1 a month tier. Any amount helps. It just kind of keeps the lights running, lets us get a little bit more like experimental on the Patreon too. So like we have a few different episodes on there already, like our favorite Halloween songs or monsters or songs with monsters in them, not necessarily Halloween, but we released it on Halloween. We also talked about the Montgomery Riverboat Brawl because, like I said, anything goes there. It's wild. But if you want to check it out, please go to the Frankenstein's Podcast Patreon and donate. And now back to your regularly scheduled programming where I answer Joe's question. We are talking about the 2004 action horror movie Van Helsing, and I've got a synopsis from our homeboy Google that goes a little something like this. Famed monster slayer Gabriel Van Helsing is dispatched to Transylvania to assist the last of the Valerius bloodline in defeating Count Dracula. Anna Valerius reveals that Dracula has formed an unholy alliance with Dr. Frankenstein's monster and is hell-bent on exacting a centuries-old curse on her family. Together, Anna and Van Helsing set out to destroy their common enemy, but uncover some unsettling secrets along the way. Done.
What a monster.
They're creatures of the abstract that live off potential energy.
It's alive!
I have to disagree with one part from that synopsis because it said that Dracula has an unholy alliance with Frankenstein's monster, but there was no alliance. He was
Yeah.
Frankenstein was hiding from him, and he was like
plot point.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, I think it was good. But yeah, I was like, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah,
I mean,
come on, Google.
I'll
can
let
do
my
better.
homeboy Google know. He's been kind of up and down. It's inconsistent.
Slipping a
at
bit.
best.
Yeah. So anyway, why don't we just start with some general initial thoughts? This was a. I feel like this film fits pretty perfectly with like the song we're talking about too, just like bringing together these classic monsters. But let's just some initial thoughts on how the movie was for you guys, how it holds up after all these years, or if it's your first time watching. I'll let our guests go first. Who any of you guys chomping at the bit to start?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I guess I'll go. I've actually watched this movie several times. The first time I watched, I honestly really liked it. I know, that it doesn't have like that. It's not regarded as like a great film or anything, but like from my point of view, when it came out, I was like 15. And it was a movie with action with the guy who played Wolverine, with cool monsters and action, and there was Kate Beckinsale, so it had everything, right? So I always thought it was really cool. It was a lot of fun, and I don't know, I just like the way they depicted like Van Helsing, like this very different like from when you see Van Helsing in the original Dracula, right? Which is like this super intellectual person, and here it's just like this badass guy, just like kicking monsters' butts, and the intro is pretty good. The intro scene where he's looking for Mr. Hyde, and then I don't know, it's pretty good, and I thought like and the way they portrayed the all the monsters was cool. I liked, I don't know the actor's name, the one who plays Dracula, but I think he does it very elegantly, and I like how Frankenstein is very human, like, at least in his feelings, right? In his emotions. The line that always sticks with me at the end is that when he's like hanging from like a wire on a bridge, and the other guy, the is he like a monk or like a
The
real
friar.
friar? Yes, exactly. And he's like, "Oh, but you're supposed to die," and he's like, "Oh, but I want to live." I don't know. It's just like very heartbreaking, very human. Yeah, and then it's pretty cool that that little twist where, oh, only the only people who can beat Dracula are Wolfman, and then so you gotta become one. He becomes strong, whatever. And then I'm really sad that Kate Beckinsale's character dies, but that's life. That's an average day in Transylvania. So yes, at least her family, got to go to heaven and everything.
Brett, I'll defer to you if you.
Okay. All right. Well, I have to be honest with you guys. I just watched this for the first time
Ooh.
earlier today.
Perfect timing.
It's fresh.
So, it's fresh in my memory. It was a great, great movie. I don't know why I haven't seen it sooner. And I love Hugh Jackman, and him playing his character Van Helsing was really, really great. Yeah, I'm really glad that you pointed out the whole Frankenstein narrative, Eduardo, especially even on the Google, darn you, Google, what's the word, synopsis of it. uh, yeah, again, it's interesting that Frankenstein is definitely one of those monsters that always gets demonized, even if the examples that is given within this movie or in the book, obviously he's just trying to live a life. He's trying to live a good life. He's trying to love. And I think that's cool of our song, bringing it back to Children of the Night, talks about it, this being of love who always gets demonized finally gets a little bit of love in our song that we created, and that's really cool. As for the movie, I thought Dracula was pretty scary, and I also liked his
His brides.
henchwomen, his brides. I thought
Yeah.
they were a nice add to it. They carried a lot of his weight and did a lot for him, and yeah, it was definitely cool. I think my introduction to the monsters before, reading classic books was this song. So it's cool kind of watching these movies from the perspective of post Children of the Night. Don't be mad at me.
That's pretty cool.
From my experience, I'll start by saying that maybe I don't want to pull rank, but I was at Universal when this came out, and so I saw it on the Universal lot at a free screening. Thank you very much. One of my few employee perks. And there was a maze in the park for about a year, the Van Helsing maze, based on the movie. It became other monster mazes throughout the years. Now it's just totally gone. But for me, it was one of the films that is the greatest gap between expectation and execution. That I thought it had so many things going for it. It was clearly supposed to start a franchise, which is why it ends with so many things unanswered. The Mummy was already a franchise, the same writer-director, Stephen Sommers, and have this sort of fizzle out was very disappointing. The idea of a Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones, Hugh Jackman playing Indiana Jones, fighting all these monsters in a sort of steampunk kind of way, seemed like there could be 20 of these movies. There could be certainly, you could go on and on and on. And yet it sort of just did not do well. And there was going to be a TV spinoff, and that got canceled. That's very sad that it was such a cool idea that I feel like was not executed well enough to resonate with audiences. I mean, you can't argue with the numbers there, that it sort of just faded away. I think one issue with it, this is ironic coming from me, maybe on this particular episode, how hard it is to get multiple monsters in a movie. Never mind a song, but you can see, even we're trying to, if you think about the plot of how the Wolfman, Frankenstein's monster, and Dracula all kind of work together, but kind of are enemies, and it's very complicated. It's very weird. Of why does Dracula entering into Frankenstein's movie to get the science of life and death, when Dracula is very unscientific. Dracula is all supernatural. There's no science at all, and Wolfman's kind of both. And only a werewolf can kill Dracula. This is all new canon, but how it's executed is one thing. But the idea of 3 monsters, only 4 if you count Mr. Hyde at the beginning, it's hard. these are villains. And it's hard to get them to kind of interact with each other. And who's the good guy among them? I guess Frankenstein is, because he is sympathetic and didn't ask to be born. But you can see that the writer, Stephen Sommers, I can name him, having trouble with trying to weave these threads. There's several different werewolves, throughout, and they're good and they're bad, and as they're changing, it's a tough thing. Which even it was only done so much by Universal, didn't do it that much till the end. Hammer never tried really to do it. So yeah, it's a hard thing to do. We want these monster rallies, but it's hard to get them all into a single film. And then who's the good guy? You need someone to hunt them and kill them.
Yeah, all good points. Khalid, what'd you think? You've seen this before, right, Khalid, or no?
I vaguely remember seeing it when I was a kid, like 13, 12 or whatever. And I didn't love it then. I liked it more now, but I think I'm definitely more on like the Jason side of it, where like you really see the movie kind of stretching at the seams a little bit with all the characters it's trying to service. I mean, now with like the benefit of hindsight, it feels like they're really just like before the Avengers, they were trying to make the Avengers, and it's like, oh right, that's why you need like 8 movies before you get to that, because it's a lot of setup and it's a lot of characters with like various interests that, like, obviously like the vampire is, or not the vampire, Dracula is doing kind of like the Loki thing, if you guys have seen the first Avengers, where he's like, in his own story, he's like a lot more malevolent, but here he has to be like, I don't know. It's like a puppet master type thing that doesn't really like make sense for his character. Like, why would you even want any other monsters to do anything with? Like, even by this movie's standards, you're like so wildly overpowered that like, and it's like, I think my problem was like his motivation throughout was that like he wanted like his vampire children to come to life, but like it never really like made sense why. Like he even made a good point of like, oh yeah, things are going pretty good. We take like 1 or 2 bodies a month, which like, that's still kind of high, but like I feel like cheese kills more people. And he like, and then he goes and chills in his castle, and he can make other vampires clearly like brides, followers, all that. So it's just like, I don't know, like you're a bachelor, man. Like why throw kids into the mix? And it just, it doesn't make sense on that level, just on a practical level. But then like once you make that like his driving motivation and everything like that, it just becomes like even more confusing. Like what we're rooting for in this case. It's like he already can turn people into vampires. Transylvania sucks. Like I don't know why it took Van Helsing this
people would
long.
live there.
I don't know why Van Helsing took like that long to get to him. He's just like gallivanting around Europe. And also, I think what really hurt the movie in my estimation was, and I heard it just in that like it's like really a compliment more than anything, was that like my favorite monster was killed in the first 15 minutes. Like the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde monster, like Sassy Hulk. That's awesome. Like there's a version of the movie where he doesn't die and he's actually like a bigger role in the third act. And like, I just think that like, there's like a complementary energy to like the woeful giant that is Frankenstein, and then just the smarmy like cockney jerk. And I know like I'm saying like this movie's overstuffed, but they should also add more monsters to the final act. Like what do I want? I don't know what I want. I'm a greedy fan. No, I think what I want is like a restructuring of the movie where like they have enough monsters and stuff like that they should have kind of done like a teams thing, and like they kind of do it where Frankenstein teams up with Van Helsing, but like I would take like 1 or 2 of the like human characters that don't add much to it and switch them out in the team for like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, for example. And now you've got like a cool like matchup of like some like monsters just duking it out in the third act, as opposed to what it kind of turned into, where it's just like Hugh Jackman and Dracula werewolf fight while Frankenstein kind of falls and does other stuff. But that being said, like it's a fun artifact of that time. Like, yeah, we mentioned some of the movies that it's like, but like Joe also, as when we were texting about it, talked about how it reminded him of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. It also really reminds me of like Wild Wild West and some like other movies like from the early 2000s that just like, I don't know. It was like post Men in Black. Like they were really, really willing to give these like genre adventure movies with like a silly premise, like their day, and like give them like so much money. And it was like very uneven results. Well, usually bad, so not that uneven, but it was still fun to watch. And like if you're like 13 to 16 when they come out, like you're just like, oh yeah, this is amazing. I don't even care. That makes no sense. But like I think that like I think Hugh Jackman was probably the one part of this that like I really wanted beefed up more was like he's just not like he's not a Will Smith type of like center, and you need that in something like this. Like you need a guy that's just like looking around like, damn, that's a werewolf, like something, you know. But a lot of scattered thoughts, but the movie felt scattered, so it's apropos. Joe, what did you think?
Thanks for asking, Clete. You wanted Hugh Jackman to be a little more snarky, huh?
Exactly, you know, like let him use his Australian accent. Get weird with it.
I was confused what kind of accent he was trying to do. I thought he was kind of British at first, but then it became American a little bit. I don't know. I wasn't sure what he was doing. I am very conflicted on this one because this one, when this came out, it was 2004. So I remember we were 14 and I loved it. I had the DVD. I had just a blast with it. I had so much fun, but I hadn't watched it since that era of my life. So coming back to it, obviously there's a lot of nostalgia and a lot of fun to be had with it. I'm a little bit more critical of it now. I think that it's very evident that, you know, Stephen Sommers is trying to recapture the magic of The Mummy, like a similar tone and style, but I feel like he's trying to go a little darker with this, and some of the action adventure elements didn't quite mesh with a darker tone. I appreciate a lot of other elements though to it. I think it's like you get, like Khalid said, it's like an interesting capsule of that time. I think like the effects, which I have a lot of interesting stuff about them to get into, are very fascinating to talk about. I think the first like 15 to 20 minutes are my favorite parts. The black and white sequence in the beginning with the Victor Frankenstein, the windmill stuff was really cool. I loved seeing the old Universal logo like that. That was just a fun like tribute. And then the London bit, like the stuff with Mr. Hyde was super fun. There is I think maybe some of you guys might know, there's a prequel like animated film with this where it's called The London Assignment, about the hunt for Hyde. So Khalid, you might enjoy that actually.
Ooh.
Check that out. But I thought that was really cool. I thought the movie was a little bit long and a little bit, like we've been saying, a little overstuffed. Like I kind of felt like some parts dragged a bit. Like when they moved on to the city and they moved on to like a new location, I was like, is it almost over? And I was like, no, not quite. But yeah, so like there's a lot going on. In terms of one thing that I felt was clunky to me, I thought that the dialogue came off a little more clunky this round. There was a lot of like kind of exposition heavy moments that didn't feel the most organic, like especially in the beginning when they're introducing us to like his organization, the religious organization. Like I feel like the cardinal he's talking to just like re-explains their entire mission to Van Helsing, and it's for the audience's benefit. But I'm like, I mean, he's been hunting for a while. I don't think he needs that. But like, I did think that the organization itself was really kind of a cool idea, because I was looking in the background, like it's like people, like holy folks from like all religions. Like there were like Buddhist monks, there was like sheiks in there. Like somebody mentioned Allah in the background, so it was kind of interesting to think that it wasn't just like the subtitles on. So I was trying to listen to what people are saying in the background, like from different faiths and stuff that were all coming together. I thought that was a cool potential, like if this were to be a franchise, to like almost explore like other cultural myths in that sense. Like that could have been a really cool like angle to take, since they kind of established that right there. That was a really fun like little touch that's just in the background. That being said, yeah, I think that I overall, like, I think it's good. I enjoyed it, but there are elements that I don't love to it. Khalid mentioned League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. We also recently did a thing on the Alien and Predator movies, and this is the same year as the first Alien versus Predator movie came out too, which is another thing to think about, like mashing up, famous monsters. Like that was also happening here, and so also an interesting time capsule piece. But yeah, I liked it overall. Had a fun time with it. A few complaints. One thing I wanted to ask you guys about the ending. So, Eduardo, you mentioned this, Kate Beckinsale dying in the ending. I felt like it was jarring to me, because I'm like, what? She's dead? Like she spent a lot of time like flipping around and like doing some pretty badass stuff, and like I don't really know what happened to like kill her, like with the way like he must have like just moved really fast and maybe broke her neck or something. But I was like kept thinking like, no, she's not dead. No, she's not dead. Oh, she is dead. What?
And then they're burning her, and you're like, oh, she is dead.
Oh yeah, and then they had like the Star Wars like ghosts in the sky thing at the end. Like I was like, I don't know, that feels a little weird.
That was so cheesy. Yeah. It was kind of like a Lion King thing, right?
King, yeah.
You were almost expecting to hear like, Simba, don't forget about me, or something like that. Or like,
then Helsing went back to Pride Rock after.
Back to Pride,
no, it is weird that she died. Like you said, this is. I feel it's weird. A lot of things that you've said like resonate with me because I feel like I see it the same way as you do. Like I had a blast when I saw it. Like even right now, I can enjoy it, but I am more critical, and I can be like, yeah, this thing doesn't make sense, or this is weird, or whatever. I'll while still enjoying it. But then when she dies, it's like he didn't broke her neck. It's if he broke her neck, she would have died like instantly, right?
Oh yeah.
And so like if it was like just like bludgeoning or something, like she wouldn't be like able to say her does she say last words? I kind of forgot. I don't know if I'm missing this, or is she just like lying there dead?
I think she's just lying there.
I feel like she's just lying there, and then they check. Like he's like, oh my god, and then they check and like, oh, she's dead.
Oh, but the scene where he's like howling and then becomes human, he loses his hair. That's pretty cool. I like it. And transitioning from the howl to the scream.
I have a really good trivia piece for this. Did you get? You guys might know this, but the scene where he transforms back into human from werewolf and was howling was originally shot as a nude scene for Hugh Jackman. However, they put a CGI loincloth because they thought Hugh Jackman's nakedness would distract from the sadness.
Good call. Good call. I think that's right.
Yeah.
We don't want to confuse the audience.
I want to see the original cut, honestly.
You're willing to risk it? That's what I'm
willing to risk it, yeah.
Yeah. Just for science, yeah.
Also, just like on a structural level, what was it, like 4 full moons in like a week? Is that?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, how many?
I thought they were like they played so fast and rule with the rules of this world. Like it was like, oh yeah, if it's slightly dusk, vampires can fly in, but they've never done it before, so they just risked it, I guess. And like did it, and it's like I don't know, like are the brides of Dracula like meteorologists? Like how are they forecasting when they can come out versus when they go and hide? It felt very convenient to when the movie needed tension.
Plus, they're outside during the day, but as long as they're like under a shadow, they're fine, right? So that's kind of also weird.
Yeah, that's what they kind of implied with the vampires and with the werewolves. Like, is like if the moon was covered up by the clouds, they also turned back sometimes too. So that it was like direct contact with the. It's very fairy tale-esque in that way.
Yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean sort of thing.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah.
When the ghosts appear and the skeletons appear. Yeah, that's an odd rewriting of the canon, as well as, this Dracula can't be killed by all the many things we know. Only a werewolf. I'm saying this dismissively, but it seems like that's an odd. I don't know that I would have made that choice. That seems like a cheat to go that all the things we know of, including sunlight, I guess, around him don't work. But a werewolf could attack him. That would do the trick. Luckily, our hero will become a werewolf at some point, so there you go.
Some of the lore was like a little goofy. Like the idea that it's Gabriel Van Helsing and he's like, oh, you're the left hand of God. Like that was a little bit much for me too. Like I don't know if I needed.
He's like the angel.
And they leave a lot of things unexplained too. Because there's also like Dracula, like Gabriel, calling him. He's like, what the hell are you talking about?
His past.
Then it kind of made I don't know why it also made me think of like Constantine. Like there's some element to it that kind of made me Constantine, but I mean there's a lot of unanswered things. I have forgotten about the Gabriel bit.
Yeah. I wanted to Jason, I want to ask you about this. I read a trivia piece too that the Transylvania set was the Universal Studios that the originals were filmed on. Is that true?
No, I don't
It
believe
is
any.
not.
I don't believe any single frame of it, even in the beginning,
Okay.
which is because that's still Transylvania in the black and white, which we all agree is a fantastic
Yeah.
homage and so well shot. But no, they were on this. This back
It was all
when.
new.
Yes, this
Okay.
is all they built them. I think they possibly even built in Europe. They were going to use them for the spinoff. They were going to use them for the sequels and for the spinoff TV show Transylvania that never happened. So they left them standing for a while.
They had high
Yeah,
hopes.
they really did. Yeah, it's a lot of confidence there.
I didn't know there was gonna be like a spin-off or something, that just never happened.
Here's I'll tell you, I mean, I work in TV and film. I'd love to reboot this somehow. Here was the premise. A Texas sheriff becomes the sheriff of Transylvania.
Ooh.
Is that really? Is that really?
I got it from the same Google that
Did you just make that up?
No, I did not. You can Google it.
Is it not a sheriff? Is it a ranger from Texas? And then we're gonna have,
Ooh,
a little bit of Chuck Norris becoming, the next Van Helsing.
Honestly, my money's on Chuck Norris. If it's him versus the Universal monsters, Chuck Norris.
Yeah, but it would be a cheat because he would just like look at them and spit or something, and they would all die. So
his spit's holy water. That's not
his fault.
Yeah.
Nobody would stand a chance against him. It would be like a 3-minute long film.
What a glorious 3 minutes though.
That would be fun, sure.
That would be fun. Would you guys have liked to see this iteration of this, like, these monsters become a franchise? Would you have liked to see more from this universe?
From this specific Van Helsing universe
Yes.
with all its premises?
Yeah.
I don't think. I don't know. I'm sure Jason wouldn't. Would you, Jason?
This is such a cool idea. The idea of bringing back again, sort of like Indiana Jones plus the Mummy, kind of all put together. It was such a great idea. A lot of CG. I mean, there was the era of where all filmmakers fell in love with CGI, and it doesn't really age very well. So at the end, you have basically 2 cartoon characters. You make video games, Eduardo. I mean, it's video game characters fighting. It wasn't really, and you don't see Hugh Jackman fighting. It's just a giant wolf thing, and it's just sort of hard to be invested when it's just these 2 sort of obvious computer animated monsters smashing each other up.
They make a good case early on that Van Helsing, just as a hunter, is like at best lucky and like doesn't really like bring much to the fighting side of things, which is fair. Like a lot of these monsters are just like so much more like strong. It's like the Batman versus Superman thing. Like unless you give him like a bunch of little gadgets and stuff that like he would not normally use, like it doesn't really even out. So like you have to turn him into a superpowered monster.
It's interesting that he was not. We don't know. Was he ever trained? We know he was found as a foundling on the church steps and brought up by the church order. We don't know anything about him. Like, why was he trained to fight a certain way? The fact that he says at one point early on to Carl, the friar, warlocks, gargoyles, vampires, they're all the same. And Carl goes, no, vampires are different. Van Helsing is saying they're all the same. Aren't you the expert? You're like the one guy on planet Earth who's the expert. It's like the Witcher. The Witcher wouldn't say all these monsters are the same. He knows exactly what potions to take and what weapons to use. Why isn't he the Witcher? Why is he just sort of like, I don't. I mean, that line alone. How do you let that line stay in? That undercuts the whole expertise of this guy. That's poor writing.
There's a lot of threads you could pull at. Like, why does this like family of monster hunters like Van Helsing, like, why do they like? What the hell is the wolf hunting scene? Like that was doomed to fail, right? Like just from jump, like their whole plan is surround it with like 20 dudes, put the brother in like, was he like fake hung up or what was it again? Like he was like locked up or something. And then the wolfman like leaps at him and he does like a like backwards, like flip up and all of it just so they can try and get a clean shot at him with the bullet. But like, they have 20 other dudes with guns that don't work and are just firing like cavalierly in the same direction he's in. Like, it's just a fundamentally confusing and bad plan. And I was like, when they failed, I was like, what was succeeding supposed to look like?
What were they expecting? It's fun. Like you mentioned all the threads you can pull because I also thought of like the piece of parchment that the friar gives him. And it's like, oh, we don't know what this does. And it reads, in the name of God, open or something like that, right? And then he basically spends a lot of time during the movie in this part where there's this whole parchment with a piece the same shape as a piece of part, and he never thought to just like put it there. Or I was like, did he not think of that before? Like how they made this huge, they solved this huge riddle just to be like, oh, this I've had this all along, and I just gotta put it there. I don't know. I didn't think of that. It's just like looking at a jigsaw puzzle, and you have the last piece, and you're like, oh, I never thought to put it in the space that was there, right?
And they never let him do detective work. The friar just like looks at a painting, I think, or like he like just got done hooking up with the maiden, and he leans against the like candelabra, and it starts what I can only describe as like a movie via painting. I don't know what you would call that. Like the characters within the frame move like it's TV. It's TV, or it's like he's streaming it, but like they never bother to like follow up on what makes it work like that.
It's like a GIF. It's a GIF,
Exactly.
basically.
Yeah, it's a
GIF.
medieval GIF, which like there's a lot of anachronistic stuff in this movie. Like I don't know like offhand when the Gatling gun was invented, but I don't think it was by demon hunters in the Vatican. But that one was like a bridge too far for me. The GIF via painting.
I suppose we should move into the monster element of it, but before I do, Brett, we haven't heard from you in a while. Did you have any final thoughts on like the storyline of the movie? You liked it. You liked the movie, so do you have any more thoughts?
Yeah, no, you guys tackled all of the funny little quirks that I noticed just a few hours ago. You guys really covered it all. There was a lot of things that were comical, but it's also, it's an early 2000s movie. So, I appreciate it for what it is. Back to your earlier question, too, of if we would like to see this continue in this universe. I think it's something good to learn from and then try again.
I like that. Yeah.
Nice.
Learn from and try again. Yeah.
Just keep swimming,
And reboots are all the rage.
That's
true.
true.
It's been 20 years. That's probably Spider-Man didn't take 10, 20 years, reboot twice.
Yeah. So anyway, let's monster it up here. I made a list of all the monsters that we see. I just wanted to go through that list real quick, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the effects, and I'll ask you guys some questions and some thoughts and stuff. But it's kind of the with the podcast format how we do it here. But the Schuler Hensley played the Buff Frankenstein's monster. I thought he was a really like charismatic performance of it. He played the monster in the Broadway version of Young Frankenstein, and he's a known theater actor. And I feel like that kind of came through. There was kind of like a classical element to how he played it. We see the werewolves / wolfmen. We see the vampire brides. We see Count Dracula, who is Richard Roxburgh, I believe you pronounce it. We see the baby vampire bat creatures from the egg sacs, which I forgot to mention. The egg sacs were kind of an interesting touch. We see Mr. Hyde in the beginning, which I loved, and that was voiced by Robbie Coltrane, actually, Hagrid, which was kind of a fun fact.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like that.
Wow, that's awesome.
Some of the lesser known ones, we got the Dwergi or Dwergi. I'm not sure which are Dracula's little henchmen. And they are actually these mutated little dwarf creatures from Germanic folklore, which I thought was kind of interesting. And there was an original storyboard idea to include the Gill Man from Black Lagoon as the keeper of Dracula's castle, but they scrapped those plans before going to shooting. So that's the comprehensive monster list, unless you want to also count immortal monster hunter Gabriel Van Helsing as well.
And I guess the Gill Man got a visa to go from South America to. I'm all for including more monsters, but that seems odd that he would be anywhere near Europe.
Yeah,
presumably.
It's a cousin. It's a European cousin.
If he ever gets let go, he has to be a groundskeeper for another Transylvanian castle, or the visa does not apply anymore.
So for visual effects in this movie, I think that it's true that some of the CGI doesn't really hold up that well. But I think it's a really, like we've been talking about, it's a time capsule. I think it's a really interesting picture into this time and like the kind of artistry that went into it. I got 2 chunks of VFX info there's a lot of course, like houses that go into the work in these movies, but a lot of the visual effects were done by Industrial Lights and Magic, actually. And one of the art directors for Van Helsing said the biggest misconception, this was an interview from like 2004, a guy named Christian Altsman. And he said one of the biggest misconceptions about the job is that it was all done on computers. They said he actually led several artists, did sketching of the monsters. They mailed the results to Stephen Sommers, and he would like choose which ones he liked based on just like hand-drawn sketches to start. They with the werewolves, they actually had they brought real wolves into the office from a local zoo to look at the eyes and the jaws to get like features for their sketches, which I thought was kind of an interesting touch, kind of wild. They said once Sommers was happy with the designs on paper, the sculptors then created 3D mock-ups of the creature. So the movie includes 500 effects shots that take up 50 minutes of screen time, 36 computer animators contributing to the final project. But a lot of the big shots, including some of the werewolf transformations and the vampire bride attack, are a complicated blend of things that are like in frame, in camera, and on the computer. So you can kind of tell. I mean, there's another company that did some of the makeup effects. There are like the Frankenstein's monster is all like pretty much a practical effect, like practical suit and everything. And there are certainly like practical costumes and elements. One of the interesting ones is the brides. I think the brides were a really cool piece, but there was the 3 actors who played the brides were actually like on set and doing like kind of complicated wire stunts a lot of the time before the CGI went over them. And they all did their own stunts for this. They're filmed with a blue screen background, and their flying movements are simulated by hooking up to wire harnesses. The wings actually were one of the more challenging things for the animators to work on. And they said there was a woman who worked on it named Donna Tennis, and she apparently went to a San Francisco fish market and found eels, and she thought this looks great, so she brought in the eels to the office and said this is the texture we need to use. And so they modeled the wings of the brides off of like this eel skin that she found in a random fish market. So I thought that was kind of a cool fun fact.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so like I read that fact actually before watching the movie, so I was really looking close at the wings in that early scene when they're fighting the brides, and I thought it does look pretty cool. Like when you could tell it's like the digital effects, but like the detail that goes into the digital effects, especially at the time, was really fascinating to look at.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds pretty cool. I mean, I'd like to see it, but I don't think I've ever looked at an eel live, so I wouldn't be able to say like, oh, it doesn't look like an eel. But it's an interesting thing to know for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. Yeah, like they brought in eels, they brought in wolves, like to like make this project work. Yeah, it's wild, like literally wild.
Literally.
Yeah. There was another makeup company that was involved in this. This is Keith Vanderland's company. It's Captive Audience Productions in Burbank. We always like to shout out the VFX companies. We love those. But one of the key members there is Greg Canham, who I believe we've talked about before on the podcast as a makeup effects guy. He did makeup for The Howling, Lost Boys, Bram Stoker's Dracula. He won an Academy Award, but he did the makeup effects for a lot of the characters, including the bride faces that were not digital. He did Igor, which is complete prosthetic makeup. He did several of Dracula's minions. He did the monster, the Frankenstein's monster, created the molding and the costumes for all that, the head-to-toe makeup for Hensley. And in total, his team worked for over a year, employed over 80 people to produce the prosthetics and costume appliances and the hair work required to put this whole thing together. So on top of the CGI, there was a lot of like practical stuff that was kind of going into it. I forgot to mention Igor now that I'm realizing it. I don't know if you would say monster, but that's definitely a makeup prosthetic, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I didn't know if he was a monster or not. I also like that he like betrays Dr. Frankenstein because like, I don't know, I never like assumed Igor was like a ride or die. He was just like,
yeah,
you're probably giving me the like best job I'm going to get as like the town Igor.
The town
like,
Igor.
The only one he would get like is they would get all, if he shows his face in town, all the pitchforks are coming out. So he's just like, he's got to stay in the castle.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what did that LinkedIn search look like? It's like need someone to grave dig and also like set up like complicated wiring.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. The
interesting.
Igor character is almost like kind of like what Brett was saying about the idea of like the Frankenstein's monster just wanting to like exist, but like being seen as a monster could have been like another opportunity to have something like that. But he's kind of just angry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I realized that guy, the guy who played Igor, is the same dude from The Mummy who played Brendan Fraser's buddy that betrayed him too.
Yeah,
Whoa.
it's Benny. Right?
Yeah, that guy.
Oh, wow. I love Brendan Fraser's Mummy. Well, the first and second one. Yeah.
Yeah.
the first one, yeah.
Yeah, the third one. Oh my god.
Oh man,
Anyway,
yeah. Yeah, I could watch the first one a lot, and the second one maybe a few times, but not so much the third one. Yeah. Do you think so? Okay, I was gonna ask you some monster question, but now that you brought out The Mummy, would this franchise would have crossed over with The Mummy since it's the same director? Do you think?
If a nerdy answer is different eras.
True,
Mummy,
that's
the
true.
first Mummy is 1926. I guess the second one picks up when the kid's like 10 years old, and this is stated as 1880 something. It's stated on screen for Van Helsing, so there'll be some issue there. Could the Mummy ever appear in a Van Helsing film because it hasn't been unearthed until 40 years later? Could you get
True.
around that by other pharaohs, other curses, maybe?
I just don't think this movie cares about honoring any kind of timeline. like Thomas Edison will show up and it'll be like him and I don't even know who's another anachronist. Amelia Earhart. Were they around at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be like, yeah, Amelia Earhart, help the Wright brothers create the airplane or something like that.
Oh man.
So did you guys? So being like you three are well versed in like the classic Universal monsters and the looks and all that, and this being kind of like the mashup like update to a lot of those creatures. Just looking at the monsters like I listed, like did you guys like the updates, like for example made to Frankenstein's monster where he's like definitely more buff and a little more actiony, or like the werewolves which are more like very carnal and big compared to the old school Lon Chaney Jr. Wolfman? What do you guys think of the updates to the classic monsters?
Well, I think Brett's the Frankenstein expert at this point, so I'll let her to handle that. I do have thoughts, but I liked the fact. Remember the original Bela Lugosi Dracula? He wears a tuxedo. He's a count. He's all dressed up. No fangs. People forget that he does not have fangs. Don't get any picture of Bela Lugosi. He doesn't have fangs as that character. So the idea of we think of him being so scary. Is he scary in 2023? That's the thing. Can you really pull that off? I mean, Bela Lugosi is just so iconic, so fantastic. If you want to do a vampire now, you got to do a little more than that. And I think I have to say, much like I think there's too much CGI, making the vampires into these sort of gargoyle giant bat creatures is pretty cool. Otherwise, they're just well-dressed women, a well-dressed guy, not really being very scary, as Eduardo kind of like a puppet master, not really doing anything, just kind of being spooky. Well, when they go on the attack, make them awesome. So they are that is pretty badass, having them be like bats with fangs and claws. They can fly around. That's much scarier than just sort of mesmerizing you with their eyes, which worked in 1931. And we need more than that these days. So that's a good change. They make them CGI, make them scary, make them fly around and attack people. And not as bats, but as full size creatures. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that a lot because like I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, like you always. I guess they always treated Dracula as an actual bat, like a small animal instead of this huge, big monster. So I think that, works and makes it be impressive and interesting because it's a little underwhelming to be like, oh, yes, now I'll transform. And then it's just like this bat that flies off here. Like, oh, okay, cool. I mean, elusive, right? But other than that, it's just like unimpressive.
I will say I really liked the Wolfman transition, the way he rips his skin off.
Oh yeah,
that was
very cool.
Like
That
that's
was
something I
interesting.
haven't. Yeah, like I just never seen anything like that. Sorry, Brett. I think I stepped on you.
No, I did like their take on Frankenstein's look. It was interesting how they added the electricity effect, and it makes sense because that's how he came to life. But just I felt like they incorporated that into his get up a lot more, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah. How does this compare for you, Brett, having like really dived into the Frankenstein like mythologies with the book and like watching the old movies? Do you feel like this was kind of a good take on the character?
Yeah, and I really enjoyed the last scene where he kind of goes off onto his makeshift raft because that definitely pays homage to the book, and I just noticed that little Easter egg within it, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's kind of a touching scene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, I just wanted to add, like, I don't know, I don't think Van Helsing is one who invented this. Well, the movie, I mean, that Frankenstein coming to life with electricity. But I mean, I've only read the book once, and when he's created, it's kind of like underwhelming, and you're not even sure that he's actually been created. I mean, I don't remember the actual lines in the book, but it's something like, and he was done, something like that. And then at some point, you're like, wait. So is the monster living now? Is it not? And at some
Mhm.
point they start talking about the monster. You're like, oh yeah, it exists now. So actually making something where you're like, oh, now it's alive. So that's pretty cool. I think that works very well. And I just thought of your rendition to "It's Alive" at the song, and
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I am looking at the time. I think we had a pretty good discussion about it. We'll probably move on to our very final segment of the show before we close out for the evening. Our final segment is something we call it's called "What the Fandom," and we each just share one or two things that we're kind of into at the moment that we might want to recommend to our audience. In Doesn't have to have anything to do with monsters or this movie at all. Just something that you're kind of digging at the moment. And I don't remember if I told you guys about this one or not. Maybe I did. I sometimes forget about this one, but in that case, I will let you guys go after us, and Khalid and I will go first. So, Khalid, what the fandom with you this week?
Thanks for asking, Joe. In the spirit of having these talented musicians with us on this episode, I wanted to recommend some new music from another talented musician. I'm talking about Andre 3000. And
Ah,
you guys, if you've been following the news, you might know that he has a new album that isn't a hip hop album. It's him playing the flute. And it's 8 tracks, and like the shortest among them is 3 minutes, but the longest among them is like 18 minutes. So yeah, you've got a lot to chew on if you like Andre 3000 and or flutes. It's called New Blue Sun. It's very delightful, jokes aside. Like, I mean, just like when you're working and like listening to it, I'll be honest, this is my first full on flute album, so I have nothing to compare it to, but like I liked it. So whatever that tells you, but that's definitely my recommendation for the week. And Joe, what the fandom with you?
thanks for asking, Khalid. I love that recommend. I actually just listened to that for the first time too, and I really enjoyed it. It's very chill.
I feel like it's like a much needed ray of sunshine in a lot of people's lives. It's just like, thank you, Andre. I didn't know I needed this.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shout out. I have two kind of quick ones. I recently started a new book called "Victories Greater Than Death," which is the first in the Unstoppable series from Charlie Jane Anders. She's a science fiction writer that I really like. She created the website IO9 and has a podcast I like as well. But it's a kind of a young adult science fiction, like space opera book about this kind of teenage girl on Earth who, and she knew this growing up, is like a clone / reincarnation of a great galactic captain who fought like a bunch of wars, like this intergalactic, like kind of a Star Trek style, like Federation type thing. And when she turns 18, that organization is going to come collect her and like reinstate the memories of that captain to try to help them turn the tide of a battle that's currently going on. But what we find out quickly is that she gets some memories, but not all of them. So she has to kind of like deal with that. And there's like another group of young 18-year-olds that are like kind of super smart from Earth, very diverse group that are like also on the ship that kind of are adjusting to life, knowing there's like aliens and like societies and intergalactic like things in this universe. And so it's really interesting. It deals with a lot of kind of really fascinating social issues in a fascinating way from like a kind of the science fiction perspective. It's quick, kind of a quick read. I'm about halfway through it, but it is very like I've read some of Charlie Jane Anders' other books, and they're more like adult books, and this is like a YA. It has a very YA feel, which is not like a deal breaker at all. It's just like a very different kind of book that I'm used to, but I'm really enjoying the vibe, and so I would recommend that if you're interested in a unique sci-fi space opera book that's called Victories Greater Than Death. And then the other thing I just wanted to quickly shout out is I just recently watched the new movie on Hulu called Quiz Lady with Awkwafina and I believe Sandra Oh, and that was a blast. It was like a kind of a low key, like mid range budget kind of comedy, which I really appreciate those kind of movies because they're just low stakes and fun and really enjoyable. It was endearing, heartwarming, but just very funny as well. Will Ferrell was surprisingly like restrained in it, but really fun like in it as well. It was just like a genuinely nice movie for a fun movie night. So those are my two recommendations for this week. Now I'll pop it over to the guests. How about we'll start with Jason? What the fandom with you?
Oh boy. Well, I'm not sure I recommend this exactly. I guess it's fun reading. I work in unscripted television, science and nature and history and things like that. And because of some of the content I work with, I've sort of fallen down the rabbit hole of lost treasures and reading about both real life ones that we think really exist, like shipwrecks and various Egyptian tombs that have never found the tomb of Cleopatra, for example. I've never found the tomb of Nefertiti, but also some of the more Indiana Jones ones, like the Ark of the Covenant, like the Holy Grail. Are they real? Were they real at one point? Sort of got corrupted by folklore and other things. But reading these real life adventures, as people really did search for them, a lot of this stuff takes place around the same time as Van Helsing, late 19th century, the great age of exploration. So there's all kinds of books out there. One that I happen to find that is very much not too historical, not too scholarly, not at all. It's a lot more like for a movie viewing fan, called Fortune and Glory, a treasure hunter's handbook. I'm looking at it right now, which is why I'm reading it off to you, by David McIntee, MCINTE. And just like a little rundown all around the world of what the treasure is, how you could find it, what you should do to look for it, who's also looking for it, what might be standing in your way in terms of animals or the authorities or natural hazards. And it's kind of a fun way of like armchair exploring. If you don't plan to go anywhere, like I don't, looking for these things or going to Egypt or going to Africa or going to the Far East, it's a kind of a fun way to look at. These are a lot of things that are historical, and these are real things that are out there to find. And people are finding things all the time. We're still finding treasures, and people are still looking for shipwrecks and finding things. So some of these things, this book might be out of date very soon as people find some of these real treasures. And some like the Ark of the Covenant may be out there forever and never, maybe not real. But it is a lot of fun to not just read fiction, but to read sort of history. And there's plenty of adventure in real history. So that's I would recommend. In general, if you can go to Wikipedia and look for anything. Just putting in lost treasures, and you'll find something. If you like pirates, if you like knights, if you like Egypt, there'll be something there for you. Even things like Nazi gold or crown jewels of royal families. If you want more, that kind of adventure, there's there as well. But yeah, the book I really recommend is Fortune and Glory, a treasure hunter's handbook.
Wow. Sounds like real life Indiana Jones.
Absolutely. Yep.
How about you, Eduardo? What the fandom with you?
Well, I've been playing a lot with my friends Dungeons and Dragons for the first time. Since I was a kid, I always wanted to play it. For some reason I never did. And I'm a friend, my friend's birthday, I think his last birthday, like some of us friends bought him like the Dungeon Master guidebook, because his wife told us that he had it like on his Amazon cart for a while. So we're like, yeah, that should be a good present. And so we gave it to him, and then we started playing. I think we're playing now like our third campaign. The first two were like short campaigns, while we get the hang of it, while he gets the hang of being like Dungeon Master. But I'm really enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. It's cool to, I've always been a lover of games, like board games, video games, and to have this board game, which, you have no board, you have nothing, but you have tools that you use right now you use a computer and you have like some maps, and so you there, but then you throw real dice, and then I don't know, like the mix between an actual physical thing you use plus your imagination plus someone narrating the whole plot and everything that's going on, and how you fail or succeed on the roles and the description of the things that I don't know. It's kind of thrilling, But I know, well, of course, some people might not find it as thrilling, but I found it to be very fun.
Cool. I love D&D. That's awesome. How about you, Brett?
Well, with this holiday season and being a musician, I've been very booked every single weekend with different shows. So I have been immersing myself in all of the different types of Christmas songs that there are, aside from the top 40 Christmas songs that play on every station the same over and over again. I've been delving a lot into on Spotify the Electric Christmas playlist, and that has been fun, and I've been really using that as some inspiration to create my own Christmas music. I actually just released a business with this. It's called Musical Charms, and pretty much I offer a space to customize holiday music video telegrams to send loved ones over the holidays. And so, I've been listening to these different songs, and I made like Jingle Bells into a reggae kind of version. I have We Wish You a Merry Christmas in rock version. I got hip hop. I got like an atmospheric ballad for Silent Nights. So I've really just been diving into my ears and listening to all the other examples that are out there right now. So that's kind of been my muse, and I'm allowing myself, I think it's okay at this time of the year. But yeah, again, that was Musical Charms. Really excited about it. Feel free to check it out, musicalcharms.store, and you can kind of see where my fangirling, my fandoming has been towards recently.
That's awesome. I will put a link to that in our show notes too, for sure. That's super cool.
Thank you so much.
Eduardo and I keep saying how it has, when we were making the song, there has been no great Halloween song for so long. There hasn't been a new great Christmas song. We're still relying on Mariah Carey, really, aren't we? What's the latest, most recent? So, Brett, if you can, I'm not volunteering. You do it. You need a new great Christmas song, please. Yes.
Yeah, we're tired of Mariah Carey.
Yes. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. This was a really fun conversation. It was really fun to get the kind of background into the song of Children of the Night, how that kind of came to be, and just to chat with all of you guys. Brought some cool perspectives to this conversation in general. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for having us. This is a thrill. It's great to be here.
This was such a great discussion. Really appreciate having you guys on. Thank you so much. I just want to, before signing off, do a quick reminder. We do have a Patreon. If you want to check it out, consider donating. That'd be greatly appreciated. And with that being said,
hold on, Khalid.
Oh,
sorry. Let's give our guests a chance to say where people can find them. If they want.
Yeah. Yes. I was testing you, Joe.
Oh yeah, it was a test. Thank you. Okay, good. So if you guys want to give us a shout out, like social pages or anything, I know you mentioned Musical Charms, Brett, but anything else you want people to look for when they're looking you up or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to follow me. You can find me on all the social medias under Brette Alana. You can also find me on all of the streaming platforms or streaming musical platforms under Brette Alana, where you can also find our Children of the Night song. Yeah, if you're interested in working with me, just find my website. They're on all of those platforms. It's brettalana.com, and I'd be happy to collab with some people.
And she's a great collaborator. Thank you for us.
Thank you.
As for me, I write, and occasionally something I write gets made. I was hired to write some of these low-budget fantasy movies. The first one is streaming on Amazon. It stars Corey Feldman and Jeffrey Combs. For some of you horror fans might know Jeffrey Combs, or Star Trek fans, for that matter. That's where I know him from. It's called The Sorcerer Beast. It is very low budget fantasy. Please, it's not Van Helsing level of budget. It's on streaming. It's on Amazon and Freevee. It's the next one comes out next year. They're loosely connected. I had to write a bunch of stories in this fantasy universe. Kind of, they're all vaguely connected, but you don't have to watch them all at all. So one's out this year, The Sorcerer Beast. The next one comes out next year called The Warlock's Curse. And beyond that, who knows? These are independent films, not with a studio. but I was hired to write, so it's nice to see my name on screen and on IMDb. So if you have about 90 minutes to watch a weird little fantasy, a little bit of horror to it, check out The Sorcerer Beast on Amazon.
Awesome.
Yeah, so for me, I guess the best place to find me would be on my studio's website. I found a studio with a friend called 8-Bit Studio. Where all focus is to make music for film and video games, and also sound effects, and implementing music into video games using the different audio middleware software that exists. So yeah, 8-Bit Studio, 8-bitstudio.com. I do have some other places you could find me because I sometimes I go by my name. All the time, but there are shows that I've worked on. One of them called The Incredible Adventures of Bimmy Boo and Friends, which hasn't come out yet. They have a few episodes on Amazon on Prime, but I think they're pulling them out because they're distributing somehow somewhere else. And then, but you can look also for my work on YouTube at Hi Dino Kid Songs. There's over 100 songs also on Spotify and all of that. And yeah, anybody can contact me through my website, my studio's website, and possibly also my SoundCloud. I don't know. I just I have kind of a mess of things on the internet, but yeah, I'm all over, I guess.
That's all right. Cool. Well, thank you guys. Khalid, I'll send it back over to you again.
All right, for real this time. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Brett, Eduardo, and Jason, for coming on. It was so fun talking all things Universal Monsters with you guys. And yeah, until next time, everybody, creep it easy.